Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Lamb. Here's a preview of some of today's top stories. 7 school districts now adopted parental notification policies. The latest district in Northern California passed their version after 2 hours of public debate. 2 state bills could change the rights of students and parents in California. One wants to ban student suspensions and the other ban board meeting disruptions. Congress is looking to repeal California's ban on the sale of new gasoline cars. Some say consumers have a right to choose. Others say the ban will help reduce pollution. A 7th school district in Northern California is the latest to adopt gender notification policies. More districts are voting to require schools to inform parents if their children identify as transgender, turning California into a battleground for parental rights versus state control in education. Let's take a look.
Dry Creek Joint Elementary School District in Placer County became the latest to adopt a policy that requires schools to notify parents if their child requests to be identified as a gender other than their biological sex. Board members of the Northern California District passed the resolution in a 5-0 vote Thursday night, following 2 hours of mixed public comments.
We are talking about omitting information from the parents about their mental health. I don't understand why this is an issue. If my child was suffering from gender dysphoria, I would like to be made aware, and I feel like it is the school's duty to be able to share that information with me.
I and most of my teachers will not follow such policies. Although the Dry Creek Board feels they can change policies at will and trump state law, they're mistaken.
Supporters of such policies say parents have a right to know and be involved in discussions with their children. But opponents say such policies could create uncomfortable or unsafe situations for LGBTQ kids. Some also mentioned the possibility of legal backlash. This is the case with Chino Valley Unified. Attorney General Rob Bonta sued the district after they adopted a version of the policy, and a judge halted the district's implementation. Dry Creek is currently the 7th school district to pass a parental notification policy. Buckeye Union School District in El Dorado Hills is also considering the policy.
California continues being a battleground on education and parental rights. 2 new state bills could change the face of how classrooms run.
2 California bills could impact how classrooms and school board meetings are run if signed. The first is Senate Bill 274, introduced by Democratic Senator Nancy Skinner. The bill would ban schools from suspending students who disrupt class or defy teachers, known as willful defiance suspensions.
The amendments taken in the Assembly extend the current sunset on willful defiance suspensions prohibition for middle school students and creates a sunset provision for this on high school students. The bill has received bipartisan support.
Skinner previously said suspensions lead to students dropping out of school at a time when many are still behind due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But people in opposition argue that the bill is almost like a license for the kids to misbehave, being detrimental to the learning of others in the classrooms.
Ayes are 31, noes are 6.
It passed the legislature and is now awaiting Governor Gavin Newsom's signature in the coming weeks. The second bill, Senate Bill 596, would make it a misdemeanor to harass school employees or disrupt school board meetings. It's also awaiting the governor's final decision. Introduced by Senator Anthony Portantino in February, individuals who harass school staff in verbal, written, or electronic communication may face up to $1,000 in fines and jail time. Critics say this bill silences parents and protects school employees from public criticism, not harassment. Governor Newsom has until October 14th to sign or veto bills this legislative year. David Lamb, Entity News, California.
California has had a bunch of controversial cases recently involving parents and teachers. Just yesterday, a federal court ruled in favor of two teachers who challenged a school district policy they say compelled them to lie to parents about their children's gender identity. NTD's Daniel Monahan spoke with an attorney who explains three bills in the state heading to Governor Newsom's desk.
The first is AB 957. Attorney Nicole Pearson says it would force parents to affirm their child's newly chosen gender or else. Pearson says when a judge determines custody, the health, safety, and welfare of a child are the most important criteria considered. Pearson says AB 957 would define health, safety, and welfare as including gender affirmation of a child from as young as 2 years old. If signed into law, the attorney expects the inclusion of gender affirmation in the penal code as well.
If you are endangering the child's health, safety, and welfare, you're guilty of abuse, neglect, endangerment, and so on. So this is a foothold. Just one factor in this just one family code section is the foothold for affirmation to become law across the board, across all code sections in California.
The proposed law doesn't define what gender affirmation is. Is it social affirmation, allowing a hairstyle more common for the other sex? Or medical, such as allowing irreversible surgeries?
It creates a perverse incentive for parents to be more extreme in their affirmation of their child, even if the child doesn't need it, and certainly even if the child doesn't want it. So it creates, again, this kind of zero-sums game of getting to the end, which is exactly the agenda that we are seeing right now. We are seeing these systems and these policies put in place to remove children from their families, to drive a wedge between parents and children, actually pit them against each other in California.
Democrats argue that bills like AB 957 help protect the well-being of LGBT children whose parents are going through a divorce. The second bill is AB 665, called state-sanctioned kidnapping by some critics. Currently, children 12 and older can only leave home and check themselves into a residential shelter if there is evidence of abuse, incest, or that the child was a danger to themselves or others.
What Senator Scott Wiener, again, and Wendy Carrillo, neither of whom have children, have done is have removed those requirements that the child must be the victim of abuse, incest, or a danger to themselves or others in order for them to run away from home. What this means for parents in California is that you can have your children removed from your homes and you can lose your custody.
AB 1078 was sponsored by Assemblymember Corey Jackson, reportedly as a response to local school districts banning certain books, usually sexually explicit ones, from school libraries.
What the bill actually does is strip local school districts of their authority to decide what curricula and materials are best suited for their community's needs, and basically a silencing of parents and, again, their elected representatives. It's a very, very dangerous bill. We are basically living in a communist state where the state will dictate what materials and information your children read, and Lord knows we already know what their agenda is and what their values and priorities are.
Jackson says AB 1078 is a necessary response to protect children's access to diverse perspectives, encourage critical thinking, and promote inclusivity in schools. Pearson is calling on those who want to get involved to go to protectkidsca.com. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
NTD reached out to Senator Scott Wiener and Assembly members Wendy Carrillo and Corey Jackson for comment. Google will have to fork over more than $93 million to the state of California. That's to settle allegations it collected and used consumers' location data without consent. California's Attorney General says Google also agreed to follow strict rules to prevent future misconduct. The investigation found that Google misled users by promising not to track their location when they opted out, but continued to do so for its own commercial purposes. This action stemmed from a multi-year investigation by the California Department of Justice. It revealed that Google had been gathering and using location data for profiling and advertising purposes. The investigation also found that Google used location data to create behavioral profiles of users. Legislation that would nullify California's zero-emission vehicle mandate passed the House and heads to the Senate. NTD's Jason Blair has the latest.
The Preserving Choice in Vehicle Purchases Act passed the House on Thursday with a near party line vote. The legislation seeks to void regulations in California that would ban the sale of new gasoline-powered vehicles by 2035 in order to fight climate change. The mainly Republican supporters said that California's mandate will have negative economic effects and intrudes on consumers' ability to choose a car that best fits their needs. The mainly Democrat opponents argued that the mandate is needed to combat climate change and reduce pollution, saying the transportation sector is a major contributor to greenhouse gases.
Americans can make consumer choices based on their merits and needs, not radical mandates rooted in trying to force Green New Deal directives on families.
This bill disregards over 50 years of precedent, erasing decades of progress made by states to protect Americans from dangerous air pollution.
According to Representative Cole, 8 other states have already followed suit with California's mandate, with more in line to follow. Reporting in California, Jason Blair, NTD News.
A federal appeals court blocked a California law prohibiting marketing firearms to children. According to the courts, the law is unlikely to help with the state's goal of reducing gun violence.
The San Francisco-based U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals blocked a California law that restricts advertisements of firearms and related products to minors. Governor Gavin Newsom supported the law banning such ads. Back in July, he cited gun manufacturer We1 Tactical's advertising of an AR-15 meant for kids.
These are cartoon skulls with pacifiers in them. His and her pacifiers, cartoon skulls of children with pacifiers.
But according to the court ruling, the law could infringe on free speech and noted that California gun laws are among the strictest of any state in the country. The court's ruling states, quote, "While California has a substantial interest in reducing gun violence and unlawful use of firearms by minors, the law does not directly and materially further either goal." The panel added that California has not produced any evidence that a minor had ever unlawfully purchased a gun because of an ad. Governor Newsom's office did not respond to media requests for comment.
We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come right back. A shark nursery wants to better understand and protect an endangered species. One scientist remains hopeful despite the decreasing population. A Skechers store in Southern California has a new food court. NTD visits the store to see what they're serving up. The weekend is here, so time for fun and relaxation. We'll take a look at some upcoming events happening around the state. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everybody. I'm your host, David Lamb. Plans for a new Tesla charging station are to hit SoCal, but it's not your typical parking lot to charge your vehicle. It will be a new hotspot for Tesla drivers. NTD's Christina Corona has more from Hollywood.
This construction site behind me may soon be the new home for Elon Musk's new Tesla diner, featuring charging stations, a drive-in restaurant, and a movie theater.
The proposed development of a supercharger station received the necessary approvals to begin construction. The diner will feature 32 supercharger stalls, a restaurant along with rooftop seating, and 2 movie theater screens that will showcase highlight reels of films. Ed Howard created renderings of the proposed Tesla supercharger, sharing them to his account on X at Howard Models. The concept has been discussed by Tesla CEO Elon Musk since January 2018 in a conversation on X, the social media platform he currently possesses. Gonna put an old school drive-in, roller skates, and rock restaurant at one of the new Tesla supercharger locations in LA. He goes on to say, of course, and an outdoor screen that plays a highlight reel of the best scenes in movie history. Tesla obtained authorization to construct walls and build movie screens on the property. Tesla submitted these requests in November 2022, and after a span of 8 months, the city of Los Angeles granted approval for the project, issuing the permit on July 18th. Initially, it was planned to be built on a series of lots in Santa Monica. However, the location was moved to Hollywood and will now be located at 7001 West Santa Monica Boulevard.
There is no official word yet as to when the Tesla diner will come to life, but Tesla did tease on X that they are projecting to open later this year. Christina Corona, NTD News, Hollywood.
There's an endangered species of sharks nursing in the San Francisco Bay. A marine expert is studying them and spearheading the research to better understand and protect them.
With summer in full swing in the San Francisco Bay, Megan Holtz gets out on the water as often as she can. Motoring through tides on frequently foggy early mornings, she and a small crew of researchers navigate to their secret fishing spots to drop anchor, put salmon on hooks, and cast their lines into the bay for their beloved subject, the broad-nosed seven-gill shark.
Fish on! This is the only population that we know of that is putting all of their pups in one location in this nursery ground. Now that can be fine, except that they're literally putting all their eggs in one basket. So if something happens to San Francisco Bay, then we might lose an entire cohort of these seven-gill juveniles.
The 31-year-old PhD candidate at UC Davis focuses on the broad-nosed seven-gill, which, as its name suggests, has 7 pairs of gill slits as opposed to 5 on most other sharks. Holst said the Bay Area offers a protected habitat with lots of food resources. The apex predator can also be found across the globe, including New Zealand, South Africa, and Argentina.
I landed on studying seven-gill sharks because I had a lot of questions and there wasn't as many answers as I was hoping for in the literature when I went to go research them. And that's just part of the scientific process when you are curious about something and there's not enough information about it. The coolest part about our jobs is that we get to go find the answers to our questions.
Scientists are unsure of the species' population numbers, though the International Union for Conservation of Nature describes the species as vulnerable and says the population trend is decreasing based on the last assessment. Holst said in a recent outing this summer, numbers were promising, despite concerns that record rainfall in California this winter and subsequent freshwater runoff into the bay may have affected the ecosystem, including salinity levels.
You know you have a healthy ecosystem when you see sharks. Sharks are a really great sign for a healthy, sustainable ecosystem, and they are what keeps our ecosystem in check. But it's hard to say whether or not their actual presence means that things are good in San Francisco Bay. That's going to take a lot more analysis of looking at the blood that we took today, looking at the muscle biopsies that we got, seeing what their toxic contamination levels are, and seeing what other threats they might be facing while they're here.
Once the sharks are pulled on board, the team collects blood samples to help look at toxic contamination in the water, muscle biopsy samples to examine the shark's role in the food chain, fin clips for genetic analysis, and length and girth measurements to estimate the age.
Skechers has taken a stylish stride beyond footwear, now offering a food court at one Southern California location. NTD's Christina Corona has more from Los Angeles.
We are outside of the Skechers store in Gardena, and lately it hasn't been the shoes that everyone is buzzing about. They have opened a food spot, a concession stand offering high-quality eats on a budget.
The Skechers Warehouse Outlet Store now has an outdoor dining area located at the intersection of Vermont Avenue and West 190th Street. It has been described as a Costco-style food court, offering tastier options at a slightly higher price point and all without requiring a membership. The menu features familiar, budget-friendly Costco favorites like $2.50 all-beef hot dogs, $3 pepperoni pizza slices, and $3 premium soft-serve ice cream along with fresh churros. It offers restaurant-style quick meals like a citrus chile roast chicken sandwich with ranch, double smash burger, and a Nashville hot chicken sandwich with pickles and a popular secret spot sauce for $1. Despite the unexpected combo of shoes and burgers, the food spot is a concept that the company's co-founder has long been eager to explore. Michael Greenberg, president and co-founder of Skechers, always envisioned the possibility of having a food concession at the Gardena store. Given its high volume of visitors and foot traffic. He told KTLA it was much more about the overall experience and the atmosphere of being at that Skechers store. He goes on to say, and if the food brings people in, they are more likely to spend time in the shoe store. According to Greenberg, the food spot serves more than 2,000 people every week.
From gourmet burgers to pizza to dessert, the food spot has something for everyone to enjoy. Christina Corona, NTD News, Gardena.
It is Friday again, and here are some activities for your consideration if you haven't made any plans for the weekend yet.
For Northern California, join the 60th Carmel Sandcastle contest. This event is free and open to the public of all ages. Anyone who would like to build a castle can enter the contest. The theme of this year is time travel into the future, and judges bestow awards for multiple categories, from the coveted golden shovel to the tongue-in-cheek sour grapes. Sandcastles and/or sculptures must be made of natural materials found at the beach, but no paint nor power tools may be used. Oh, by the way, the judges do take non-monetary bribes, preferably in the form of cheese platters or local wine, and judges' decisions will be arbitrary and final. And for you dog lovers, CorgiCon is the largest corgi event in California. You can spend a day with your fluffy stumpers and celebrate all things corgi. There is a $10 admission fee to participate, but you can certainly volunteer if you still want to help out with the fun without paying. Down in Southern California, you could attend the Hollywood Bowl's cherished screening of the Oscar-winning film Sound of Music, joined by Von Traps and other music enthusiasts. Participate in the pre-show costume contest hosted by Melissa Peterman and sing along to the iconic Julie Andrews film with on-screen lyrics. Don't miss the choral warm-up that sets the mood before the film starts.
That's all we've got for you tonight. We'd like for you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcast at ntd.com/California-today. You can find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ganjing World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Lamb. Have a wonderful weekend.